The Good Party leader, Ms. Patricia de Lille, once described femicide and gender-based violence as astounding and an utter disgrace in a country where women led the fight for justice and equal rights. Today, South Africa marks 65 years since over 20,000 women marched on the Union buildings in Pretoria in protest against the passed laws. For more, we're joined by the Good Party leader, Ms. Patricia de Lille. A very good evening to you, Ms. de Lille, and a very happy Women's Day to you.
Same to you, Tammy, and we will find some time to celebrate our own Women's Day. Since you were working and I was working the whole day. I was working the whole day.
And as you know, they say the work of a woman is never done nor completed. But let's hope that you do find the time to celebrate. I want to take you back. When we talk about the 20,000 women who marched on the Union buildings, I'm sure that's something that you personally can relate to as a former unionist yourself, advocating for the rights of workers. When you look at the state of women now compared to, let's say, 2 decades ago, has there been any change? How would you compare where we are right now?
Yes, Tammy, for me, really is that history always teaches us about lessons. And the one lesson that we've learned out of the 1956 Women's March was that they came together and they had unity around a specific cause. And they said that we are going to reject the past, the dom pass for women. And that's the lesson that we must learn today. That if we can unite as women, and there were many attempts where women came together and they did very good work, and we remember what happened all of these years ago. So the difference is now that we fought for the struggle against apartheid and colonialism, and we attained our freedom. Now, with that freedom came a document called the Constitution that we adopted on the 8th of May, 1996. Now, all of those rights, Tammy, will remain paper rights, just on paper, unless we as women, we claim those rights to make it our own. And for me, that is the lesson that we must learn from the 9th of August. And that is, for me, what we need to do going forward. Those women that are empowered already, the women that are in Parliament, we must begin to set targets for ourselves to say that as empowered women who are serving in Parliament, with the executive, the Minister of Women and Youth and People with Disability, set ourselves targets so that next year, 9th of August, come, then we can report back to the nation and say, this is what we have achieved.
And I'd like to focus on that, statement that you made, that women at that time banded around a very specific cause. Women in Parliament also need to be banding around a specific cause. What is that cause? Because making it an umbrella struggle makes it difficult to attain anything, because it needs to be centralized and named. If you had to name the cause that women in Parliament have to focus on now, what would it be?
For me, the first one, the face of poverty in our country is that of a black woman. And you will see that where black women are even working in the private sector, they are not getting equal pay for equal work. And I think as women of Parliament, we must unite to say that in the public sector, since 1994, women are paid equal work for equal pay. But in the private sector, it's not happening even up till today. You look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and you look at the absence of women there. But let us focus on a campaign that say that by next year, the 9th of August 2022, we want to see the reduction of the number of women in the private sector that are not earning the same wages to be reduced by half. That is a cause. Then we use that to mobilize all of us across political culture or political parties, but we need to, with unions included, we want that equal pay for equal work. That's just one example.
If you look at the march to the union buildings, indeed it was across all political lines, it was across all racial lines. Is Parliament, quote unquote, mature enough? Are women parliamentarians in a position where they're able to overlook the party lines? Because that is still a very strong and endemic within South African politics, identifying oneself based on the party that you belong to.
Yes, no, definitely. I've certainly seen attempts by Parliament to bridge that gap. We do have a multi-party women's caucus in Parliament. And that multi-party caucus were responsible to push through the laws in Parliament to increase the sanction against gender-based violence. So there are some good examples. What I'm trying to say is that that multi-party women's caucus must identify those issues. And I will certainly, and I have proposed before, that let us get this one issue of equal pay for equal work, and all of us unite around that. So I can say that, yes, we are making progress, but we could have done better. We could have done more. And I'm not trying to exclude our male counterparts here. I think they must also come to the support of the women members of Parliament, so that as a country we say that we acknowledge our women and that we want our women not to suffer the way they are suffering today.
Is it important, Ms. de Lille, for women to have the backing of their male counterparts? I'm talking not just in Parliament, but also in business and even in civil society. Is that male voice important in order to further the agenda of women?
Most definitely. You don't need to be a woman to fight for gender equality. You don't need to be a black person to fight against racism. You don't need to be a gay person to fight against homophobia. All of those key issues, we can unite. We need to see more men coming forward and speak or mobilize their colleagues in all the structures to become part of one fight for a cause. Because what happened with the women who marched against the past laws in 1950, I keep on getting the date wrong, I'm sorry, who marched against the past laws. It started from the first march, which was predominantly men and women, to say we don't want past laws at all. And that march was on the 21st of March, led by the PAC at the time. So we must really, as leadership, we must rise above our party political differences, and we must put our women first in this country. You know, just to say something with you today, I went to a memorial service this morning, and I think for me, my Women's Day's message really was that we've lost so many mothers and aunts and sisters to COVID-19. There are so many families without the heart and soul of a house, the nurturer, the caregiver as mothers. And I saw young children today, because of COVID-19, that have lost both parents. And as women today, we must honor and we must recognize those women that have died so soon because of this vicious virus. And I think if we can, as South Africans, begin to accept that, irrespective of our political differences, but we need to begin to say that women are the backbone. Women are the caregivers. They are the nurturers in our country. Without the women of this country, the country will go nowhere.
Before I let you go, Ms. de Lille, when you left the PAC, you formed the Independent Democrats, and you became the first woman in South Africa who actually formed a political party that contested elections, that actually won a parliamentary seat. How important is it for women to create political formations such as the then Independent Democrats, and I guess now with the Good Party as well?
Most certainly is that what I did was very simple. I claimed my constitutional right. Any person, male or female, you allowed, to form a political party of your choice. And I wanted to test whether South Africans were ready to accept a female leader as a leader of a political party when I formed the Independent Democrats. And you know what? Lo and behold, South Africans responded. They responded in terms of our constitution. And we were able to get seats at national government and provincial legislatures, at local government. And I wanted to achieve that. And I've achieved that. I've achieved that. But I would like to see, and I didn't go out on the basis that I am a woman and therefore you need to vote for me. I went out on the basis of my constitutional right to form a political party of my choice. And so where are we today? The representation of women leaders in parliament, of political parties, I'm the only one. There was another lady of the National Freedom Party, but she's resigned from parliament. So we still have got a lot of work to do, women. You can do it. You can form a political party. You can contest elections, because to achieve the objectives of the freedom of the struggle against apartheid, we're still far away from it. We all must make sure that we want more people to taste the fruits of our democracy, our new democracy. And that is what, when I had a fallout with the blue liars who wanted to paint me to be corrupt, I knew I had a constitutional right that I could form a political party again. And nobody can object to that, because that's my constitutional right. And that's how we formed the Good Party.
Ms. Patricia de Lille, we thank you so much for our conversation today. And I like the perspective when you say when you first formed the Independent Democrats, you wanted to test to see if South Africans are actually ready for a woman. And that perhaps is a very positive mindset to have, because it really does release the pressure from yourself of performance. Just test the market and see how they will receive it. But that's Ms. Patricia de Lille of the Good Party there as we mark Women's Day. Thank you for your time this evening.